Have you ever wondered why, in a crowd, people often don't step up when someone else is in trouble? We're diving into the world of social psychology today, exploring a phenomenon known as the bystander effect. This puzzling behavior arises when individuals in a group are less likely to offer help in an emergency situation. Several real-world incidents have drawn attention to this behavioral quirk, prompting significant research. One such incident that sparked global interest was the Kitty Genovese case. If you're intrigued by the mysteries of human behavior like the bystander effect, smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. It helps us a lot with the YouTube algorithm and keeps these deep dives coming your way. In 1964, a woman named Kitty Genovese was brutally attacked in New York City. This tragic event unfolded over a span of 30 minutes, in which Kitty was assaulted not once, but 3 times. The most startling part? The attack took place in a densely populated area, with many of her neighbors reportedly witnessing the event. It was initially reported that 38 witnesses did nothing to intervene or call for help, a detail that sparked shock and outrage. This apparent indifference propelled psychologists to dig deeper. Was it possible that the sheer number of observers had somehow diluted the sense of personal responsibility? Subsequent investigations revealed that the number of witnesses was likely lower than first reported, and some did try to intervene. Regardless, the Kitty Genovese case remains a striking example of what can happen when individual responsibility is diffused in a crowd. This tragic event led to the exploration of a psychological phenomenon known as the bystander effect. The bystander effect refers to the reduction in helping behavior observed when more people are present. It's a fascinating yet perplexing phenomenon deeply rooted in our psychology. Essentially, it's the diffusion of responsibility that occurs within a group. Imagine a crowded street where everyone assumes that someone else will step up. This assumption leads to a paradox where the larger the crowd, the less likely anyone is to intervene. It's like a social invisibility cloak that tends to wrap itself around us when we're in a group. We think we're just a face in the crowd and we feel less personally responsible. Furthermore, we take cues from the reactions of others. If everyone else appears unconcerned, we may suppress our natural instinct to help, thinking that it's not necessary. The greater the number of bystanders, the less likely it is that anyone will intervene. Now, why does this happen? The bystander effect is not just a theoretical concept, it has been thoroughly studied through a series of ingenious experiments. One of the most famous is the smoke-filled room experiment conducted by John Darley and Bibb Latané in 1968. Participants were seated in a room filling up with smoke while completing a questionnaire. When alone, 75% of participants reported the smoke and left the room. However, when participants were with 2 non-reactive confederates, only 10% reported the smoke. This experiment demonstrated the power of social influence and the diffusion of responsibility in a real, visible emergency situation. In another study, Latané and Rodin, 1969, had participants overhear a staged accident. When alone, 70% of participants intervened. However, when another passive bystander was present, only about 40% offered help. These experiments show that our behavior can be significantly influenced by the presence and actions of others, even when someone is in clear need of help. More recent experiments have varied the situations and the perceived relationships between the bystanders and the victim, further exploring the complexities of the bystander effect. These studies have deepened our understanding of group behavior, revealing that factors such as group cohesion, relationship to the victim, and perceived danger or ambiguity of the situation can also influence the likelihood of intervention. These experiments underline the psychological mechanisms behind the bystander effect and remind us that we are profoundly social beings, our actions often dictated by subtle cues from those around us. But remember, understanding these influences is the first step in mitigating the bystander effect, which we'll discuss later in the video. Interestingly, the size of the group plays a significant role in whether help is given or not. You see, as the number of bystanders increases, the likelihood of any one individual stepping in to offer assistance decreases. This is a phenomenon known as diffusion of responsibility, where individuals feel less pressure to act because they believe someone else in the group will. Research has consistently shown a strong correlation between group size and helping behavior. In a study conducted by social psychologists Bibb Latané and John Darley, they found that when participants believed they were the only witness to an emergency, about 70% offered help. However, when participants thought there were 4 other witnesses, the helping rate dropped to about 30%. It's a fascinating and somewhat unsettling insight into human behavior, isn't it? But remember, it's not just the number of people present that influences this effect. Several other factors can also influence the bystander effect. Let's delve into a few. First, there's the perceived cost of intervention. This isn't just about potential physical harm, but also about the fear of embarrassment or the possibility of wasting time. Then, there's ambiguity. The less clear a situation is, the more likely individuals are to hesitate and look to others for cues on how to respond. This can lead to a vicious cycle of inaction. Finally, we have the diffusion of responsibility. As the size of a group increases, each individual might feel less personally responsible to take action. They may think, someone else will handle it, or I'm not qualified to help. These factors interplay in complex ways, shaping how we respond, or don't respond, in situations where someone might need help. Understanding these factors can help us find ways to combat the bystander effect. Let's now consider the real-life implications of the bystander effect. It's not just a concept buried in psychology textbooks, but a phenomenon that plays out in our daily lives in various contexts. Think about emergencies. A person collapses on a busy street, but passers-by continue on their way, assuming someone else will call for help. Or consider accidents. A car veers off the road, but other drivers don't stop, thinking there must be someone more qualified to assist. Even in public spaces, the bystander effect can unfold. A person is being harassed in a crowded subway, but everyone averts their gaze, hoping someone else will intervene. These are just a few examples, but they illustrate how the bystander effect can have serious, even life-altering implications. It's not just about failing to help someone pick up dropped papers, it's about missed opportunities to potentially save lives or prevent harm. This is why understanding and combating the bystander effect is so crucial. By recognizing the factors that influence our inaction and learning how to overcome them, we can transform from passive bystanders into active helpers. And in doing so, we can make a real difference in our communities and society at large. Before we delve into combating the bystander effect, let's pause for a moment to address the ethical considerations involved in studying this phenomenon. Conducting experiments on the bystander effect can raise several ethical questions. For instance, is it acceptable to place individuals in potentially distressing situations to observe their reactions? Is it justifiable to deceive participants about the nature of the experiment? These are not easy questions to answer, but they remind us of the importance of responsible and ethical research practices. When studying sensitive topics like the bystander effect, researchers must consider the potential psychological impact on participants. They should ensure that any distress caused is temporary and minimal, and that participants are debriefed fully after the experiment. Additionally, informed consent is paramount. While some degree of deception may be necessary in these experiments, it is crucial that participants are given a comprehensive explanation after the study and an opportunity to withdraw their data if they wish. Ethical research not only protects the participants but also ensures the credibility and validity of the research findings. After all, our goal is to understand and mitigate the bystander effect, not to cause undue harm or distress. By adhering to ethical guidelines, researchers can explore this fascinating field responsibly, contributing valuable insights that can help us combat this social phenomenon. Now that we've considered the ethical dimensions of our topic, let's move on to discuss ways we can counteract the bystander effect. So, how can we counteract the bystander effect? It might seem like a daunting task, but there are strategies that can help us mitigate this social phenomenon. One key strategy is fostering pro-social behavior. This means encouraging actions that benefit others or society as a whole. This could be as simple as helping a stranger pick up dropped groceries, or as significant as intervening in a potentially harmful situation. Another crucial strategy is promoting intervention. This can be achieved by teaching people specific intervention techniques. For instance, the 5 steps of bystander intervention include noticing the event, interpreting it as a problem, feeling a sense of responsibility to act, knowing how to help, and finally, taking action. And let's not underestimate the power of education and awareness. By understanding the bystander effect and how it influences our behavior, we are better equipped to recognize it in real time. Knowing that the presence of others might deter us from helping can make us more conscious of our actions, or in some cases, our lack of action. Moreover, awareness can foster a sense of responsibility. When we're aware of the bystander effect, we're more likely to feel a personal duty to intervene even when others don't. This sense of responsibility can be a powerful motivator, compelling us to step up when others step back. The key takeaway here is that awareness and understanding of the bystander effect can empower us to act when others might not. As we conclude our journey into the depths of the bystander effect, let's take a pause to absorb all that we've learned. The bystander effect, a captivating yet frequently disconcerting aspect of human behavior, unveils our inclination to hold back from assisting others when we're part of a crowd, primarily due to diffusion of responsibility and social influence. However, as we've gleaned, enlightenment about this phenomenon arms us with the resources to challenge it. Education, nurturing pro-social behavior, and advocating intervention tactics are robust means to counterbalance the bystander effect. Yet, it's not merely about acquiring this knowledge, it's also about employing them in our everyday lives. So, we urge you to contemplate how you might have acted in comparable scenarios in the past, and how you could react differently going forward. What steps can you adopt to ensure you're not just another onlooker? How can you cultivate a sense of personal accountability to step in, irrespective of the actions of those around you? And essentially, ponder on the wider societal implications. If we can collectively conquer the bystander effect, envision the kind of benevolent, assertive society we can construct. Together, we possess the power to create an impact. So, let's not be spectators in our own lives. Let's rise, take lead, and instigate positive change. Remember, every deed of kindness, regardless of its size, adds up to a larger narrative of empathy and social responsibility. We sincerely appreciate your time and attention in joining us on this journey. If this video has inspired you or sparked new thoughts, we encourage you to share it with others. Let's ensure the message reaches far and wide. Together, we can amplify the power of collective action. Thank you for being part of this important conversation.